All right. Good afternoon. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. You all know who I am, Dr. Maisha, founder of the Mind Remapping Academy. And, we have been over the last few weeks, I believe, talking about belief change. And those of you who know me, who follow me, know that that's the work that I do. That's the work that I'm steeped in. Belief change at the level of the individual and our personal lives so that we can be empowered to really move beyond our obstacles and our barriers, and also belief change at the organizational and society level, because the work I do is inside of diversity, equity, inclusion, and the part that I focus on is the people work and our perceptions, our beliefs, and our biases. And of course, what's beyond that, right? Because again, unconscious, like determining and discovering our biases is like the first step. So we've been talking about belief change, and I think I've taken you through a couple of series of questions, things to consider. I talked about reframing, and I've given you the big picture of it. And today I'm going to actually just take you through a very specific exercise, and I have formulated a set of questions, and these questions I didn't make up myself, but they're questions from the trainings that I do, and I've sort of reformulated them specifically to help you to change a belief pattern. So I invite you, as you are here today, to join me in this exercise. And if you haven't seen these exercises that I've done or the talks that I've done in the past few weeks, I encourage you to go and look at those. And so, of course, if you're here with me on Instagram, you can go back into the feeds and look at that. And of course, in LinkedIn, if you're here with me, you can go back into the feeds and look at that as well. And I think it lives evergreen on YouTube as well. So, with that being said, it's important to begin to question or evaluate the validity of the beliefs that stop us, of the beliefs that hold us back, of the beliefs that create stormy dynamics amongst us and the people in our lives. And so what I want to do is do this with a very specific belief that you feel is impeding your progress. Or if you want to do this with a belief about a relationship, or belief about a person, a belief about an organization, a situation specifically, or even a belief about yourself, then I think it's useful. So the first thing I'll ask you to do is to identify the belief. And I'm jumping right into, sometimes I give a little background, I give a little history, but we've done all that the past 4 weeks. So I really want you to think of a belief, and I'm saying hi to all those who are with me live. I see that I've got several people with me live. And of course, if you think this is valuable, invite some other people to join as well. But I invite you to think about a belief that you have that maybe is not serving you, or could be more empowering. Now, those of you who have done a lot of belief work, those of you who have done a lot of personal development work, you might have to search a little bit more for this belief. But this personal development thing, this thing is a mountain with no top. So if you're saying to yourself, I have nothing to improve, maybe that's a belief that you should work with, right? Useful, because you can explore that belief, right? When we decide that there's no disempowering belief that we have, then we cut off the possibility from our unconscious mind of more growth and more healing. So for those of you who have done tons of personal work, who have done this work before, I invite you to treat it newly. And so think of a belief for yourself that may not be serving you as well as you need it to be. And I'll allow you to do that now. All right? And whether it's a belief about yourself, your abilities, your capabilities, your enoughness or not enoughness, whatever that belief is, whether it's a belief about a person, or a capacity for a relationship, or a capacity for renewal of a relationship, whether it's a belief about other people other people's thoughts about you, other people's beliefs about you. Whatever that belief is, just think of it. You could chunk it up to various, chunk it up and chunk it laterally to various circumstances. So what I would suggest is you think about an area of life that may not be working as well as you'd like it to be working. So think about that, and then inside of that, think of, well, what are the beliefs that I have that could be maybe in the way? And so now, if you've got that belief, the question I'm going to ask you is, how do you know that you have that belief? Now, here's the thing about these questions, by the way, is that you want to consider the questions, right? Sometimes, in order to get outside the box, we have to think in ways that we wouldn't ordinarily think. We have to answer questions that at first may not seem to make sense for us. But this is not about making sense. This is about considering something outside of our normal view. And that's actually how we begin to make changes in our lives and transformation in ourselves, is by going beyond our comfortable view, the way we're used to thinking about things. We go outside of that, and it's uncomfortable because we put boundaries around the way we think. And it's normal to do that. Like, it's just, if you're raised in a certain environment, if you're raised with a certain language pattern, then you might not know that there are boundaries around the way you think. And so every time you hit a boundary, then it's going to feel uncomfortable. So what is the belief? How do you know that you believe that? How do you know that you believe that? Now, you can, if you want, have a journal and write some of this down, because you can go back later and you can look at it and you can really contemplate that. So how do you know that you actually believe that? All right, and I'll give you a moment to consider that. Now, the next question, and if I'm moving a little bit faster, I'm gonna try to go as slow as possible, but I am workshopping this, but I do understand that people have a limited amount of time. So if you want to reconsider these, if you want to come back to this later and you want to reconsider this exercise and reconsider these, then you just replay it and pause it when you need to. So, first question, what is your belief? The second question, how do you know that you believe that? How do you know that you actually believe that? Third question, when did you decide that belief? When did you decide that belief? Okay? So just think about that. When did you decide that belief? And you might consider, when was the first time you ever decided that belief? Right? And when don't you believe that thing to be true? So when don't you believe that belief now? So that's the next question. Interesting question, right? So we've asked, what's the belief? How do you know that you have that belief? When did you first decide that belief? And then now we're on the question, when don't you believe that belief now? So have that consideration. Write it down if you'd like. We're workshopping this for those who are just joining us. Now, the next question is, what are you not deciding when you believe that belief? Ooh, another question that makes you think, right? What are you not deciding when you believe that belief? So now I'm going to repeat the questions from the top. So for those who want to catch up, they can catch up. What is your belief? How do you know that you believe that thing? When did you first decide that belief? And if you're just joining in, as I repeat the questions, if you want to write them down, you can. And remember, this is not necessarily about it making sense. It's about you considering the questions Because when you consider that which is outside what you would normally, how you would normally think, new answers come to you. New answers that you might not have thought could come, that might help you to begin to find the pathway to solution to the problem or to the belief itself. Okay? So when don't you believe that belief now? And the next is, what are you not deciding when you believe that belief? What are you not deciding? So consider that. Take a moment to consider that. Now, and you might be journaling and you might be writing a few things down, but even if you're journaling, you're considering that. And it's sinking in now, right? Starting to think, oh, there's some things that I'm not deciding when I'm believing this belief that is not serving me. Now, so we just answered the question, what are you not deciding when you believe that belief? And the next question is, how is that different from how you were when you were believing that belief in the past? See how this is making you think outside the normal boundaries of what you would be thinking, right? And this is a lot of the work as you're thinking about that. This is a lot of the work that I do, is helping people to go outside the boundaries of the problem to see the solution. So the question again is, the question before that was, what are you not deciding when you believe that belief? And the next question is, how is that different from how you were when you were believing the belief? So now you've considered that. And then the next question to answer is, how do you know that now? That being, how do you know that it is different now than before? All right? So I'm going to run through the last three questions so you see the connection. What are you not deciding when you believe that belief? How is that different from how you were when you were believing in that belief? And how do you know that it is different than before? Our brains, our little neurons are stretching now, right? Those neurons are stretching. So now as those who are in the exercise are answering that, I'm going to run back through the set of questions for those who may have just joined. What is your belief? How do you know that you believe that? And as I'm going back to the questions, those of you who are doing this, and of course if you're watching on replay, the more I repeat the question, the deeper your brain will go to contemplate the question. And so that's why I repeat it, because you know how sometimes you see a movie, you know, sometimes you watch a movie. I watched recently The Matrix Resurrections. I'm a big sci-fi person, and I was watching The Matrix, and I remember I had to sort of think about what happened before. So, you know, rewatching some of the past Matrixes, and you look at it, you're like, did that happen in the past? Did that happen before? And so, you know, when you hear something a second time, your brain considers it differently. So right now, your brain is trying to make sense of these questions that I'm asking. I know that's what it's doing. And for some of you who are really in the exercise, you are considering what's outside the boundaries of what you normally think. You're actually contemplating these questions. And the next time you hear the question, your brain goes a little deeper and contemplates a little bit more, and more solutions that are outside of the normal of what you would think come to you. So, what is your belief? How do you know that you believe that? When did you decide that belief? When don't you believe that belief? When are times when you actually don't believe that belief? And what are you not deciding when you believe that belief? How is that different from how you were when you were believing that belief? And how do you know that is different now than before? And the final question is, what other beliefs would you like to have? What other beliefs would you like to have? So now you have this full set of questions. And this is I would say it's a simple exercise, meaning it's simple in that it's a simple set of questions. But it may not seem simple to contemplate the questions themselves because your brain has to do a little mental gymnastics. But I think that's a part of what's missing in the way we solve our problems today and the way we consider improving ourselves, is that the brain, we're so used to, our brain naturally does this, by the way, taking the path of least resistance. But personal development, getting over beliefs, getting over these limiting decisions, it actually is sometimes a little bit uphill. It takes a little bit of mental work. When I do this work one-on-one with people, I do a lot of personal transformation work with people, and we get on one-on-one and we release negative emotions and limiting beliefs and decisions, and do put values in their right hierarchy, and we discover values and align values, and we do all of these things. And what people don't get is that some of the processes are very simple, but the brain work is not always that simple. It takes work, it takes energy. And you're going to put that energy in if you want that transformation. And so that is what some of these questions are designed to do, is to allow you to be able to do a little bit of mental gymnastics, to step outside of your comfort zone, because what's outside the comfort zone? The growth zone. To be able to consider things that you haven't considered before. In fact, I believe, even in the work that I do with diversity, equity, inclusion, especially with the neuro-linguistic programming and the communication, emotional intelligence, I know there's a lot of work that's being done in emotional intelligence in and outside of DEI. But what I am quite certain of is that the work that I do is again taking people outside the bounds of the way they're used to thinking, which may not necessarily be a common thing. And that is what allows them to be able to see that different view. And so, last time I'm going to go through these questions. Let your unconscious mind sort of sink them in, and then come back and listen to the questions again and do the work. And I would love, love, love for those who listen on replay, for those who are listening on live, who are going to play it later again and go through that exercise. I'd really love for you to go through the exercise and let me know what you discover. Let me know what you find. And let me know if, as you contemplate the question, what happens to the belief? Does it loosen a little bit? Does it fall away completely? Do you consider new possibilities, new beliefs instead to replace it with? Tell me what happens. And you can do this with any belief, really. Okay, so the first question, just one final time for those who just popped in, and for those who want their minds to go even a little bit deeper to contemplate as I run through these questions. What is your belief? How do you know that you believe that? When did you decide that belief? When don't you believe it? What are you not deciding when you believe that belief? How is that different from when you were believing it? And how do you know that it is different now than before? Finally, what other beliefs do you want to have? What other beliefs would you like to have? Contemplate those questions. See what happens to the beliefs. See what new beliefs come up. See what new avenues for dismantling the belief come up. And of course, if you want to know more about how to do this kind of work with yourself or with others, if you want to know more about the training in mind remapping and neurolinguistic programming, you can reach out to me. And of course, if you're here with me live on LinkedIn, you can message me directly. Of course, if you're here with me on Instagram, you can click the bio link and it'll take you directly to a page where you can schedule a call with me. And of course, organizations, if any organizations that want to work with me, again, you can reach directly out to me. And so that's really it for today. Just wanted to workshop for a moment. And I will be off for next week because I am actually starting a new training, the Master Practitioner Neurolinguistic Programming Training. And the following week, I'll be coming back. I can't remember what I'm going to speak about when I come back in a couple of weeks. But then I'll be off again because I go into another another training. So I'll be coming on every couple of weeks for a little while as I complete my trainings for this month and early next month. But I would love for you to pass this on. I would love for you to do the exercises if you haven't listened to the previous one and done the previous inquiries. I'd love for you to go back and tell me how those landed for you. What did you discover about yourself? Because if you go from the beginning of the set of talks about beliefs all the way to now, you might find that those beliefs begin to loosen and melt away. And that is why I do this. So, thank you for being with me again today. Looking forward to our next live together. And please leave comments and let me know what you're discovering about yourself. I always like to know where I'm making a difference. Have a great rest of the day and a great rest of the week. Namaste.